everybody, it's Vanessa and welcome to my dyslexic life. Today I'm going back to one of the really common things that a lot of us have with dyslexia, and that is reading challenges. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you will know that actually I'm one of those dyslexics where I can read, okay? But I find it very difficult to get the meaning out of what I'm reading. So just because I can recognize a word on the page and I can say the word on the page, it doesn't actually help me get the correct meaning from what I'm reading. And, you know, dyslexics often can kind of skim read. So often we'll read quite quickly. And I don't mean that we read accurately, I just mean our eyes are kind of scanning the page quite quickly. You know, there are those dyslexics that put intense concentration into reading and their reading is quite slow. Or there are the dyslexics like myself who I kind of scan read a lot of the time. So what does that look like in real life? So I was getting a psychotherapist to review some work that I'd done. And so she sent me an email and I was kind of, you know, a little bit nervous, but excited. So I opened the email and, you know, at the beginning she was like, oh, I really love the way you've done this and I love the way that you're talking about this. And then she said, you know, you have asked for my feedback, so here are some things that I think need to be adapted or changed. And as I was kind of scan reading it, you know, I saw words like, you know, don't agree with this, I don't think this is correct, you know, and basically the email, the first half of it was quite positive feedback and the second half was, I thought, quite negative feedback. So I read the email, I kind of read it again, and then I just closed my computer and I was like, oh, she really doesn't think it's very good. Maybe it isn't as good as I thought it was. You know, she's got a lot of experience and, you know, she doesn't agree with a couple of the things in it. And so I was really mulling over how really this piece of work potentially wasn't as good as I thought it was. And then I went back to the email about 3 days later and I used my tools that I have and I reread the email. And what I realized is actually when I reread it the second time, actually the feedback wasn't bad at all. There were a couple of things where she said if it was me, I would say it this way. And, you know, potentially there is this, but actually her feedback wasn't as negative. And I just thought that's what happens with dyslexia. You know, we open an email or a report or we read something, and because we don't see all of the information and we don't take the information in correctly, we can kind of get the wrong assumption or we get the wrong meaning. And, you know, often when you're communicating with someone verbally, you know, whether it be online or in person, you can actually pick up a lot of information from the intonation in their voice, from their body language. And of course, in emails, you don't get that. So I really recognized that I'd kind of read it in a very dyslexic way the first time round, and it had really seemed like not a great outcome. But then I used my Davis tools and I went back and I read the email properly. I just read the words that were there and I took in the information, and I could actually see what the outcome was. There was a couple of little tweaks that needed to be made, but on the whole, she thought it was a great piece of work, and she really thought it was going to help dyslexics, and it was really positive. So just because you can read a word doesn't mean that we always get the correct meaning from what we're reading. And, you know, I'm really glad that I went back and looked at that email again and used the tools that I have to read it correctly, because then I actually got the correct information and it was nowhere near as bad as I had created in my head. So if you find that you read emails or reports and then you find that your perception of it is different, then that could be what's happening. So I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you again soon.